Ladies and gentlemen, again, we saved the best
Whatever.
for last.
Oh my gosh. Stop lying.
No, definitely one of my favorites.
Oh, geez.
Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you head on over to the KitchenAid Cooking Theater. Our next presenter, a food and content creator, TV host, digital and social strategist, influencer, husband, and dad, dedicated to highlighting new, old, mashup, and simple twists on classic recipes on his media platforms. A Chicago local, please welcome Chef Billy Parisi.
Sorry, I needed my trash can. Thank you. Thanks, guys. How's everyone doing? Good? I'm tired. It's day 4. So I'm going to make a really simple recipe. Actually, I've never even made this before, but when I was recipe planning, I'm like, hey, this sounds good. Let's try it out on stage. So we're going to rub down some salmon. We're going to sear it up, and we're going to make an apple jicama coleslaw, and just toss it in a really simple apple cider vinaigrette. Serve it with queso fresco, green onion, cilantro on a corn tortilla. So that's the extent of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is prep up my vegetables, and the term that we use in the culinary world that I'm sure you've heard is mise en place, which means everything in its place. That means all of your stuff is prepped out, so when it comes time to cook, you don't have to mess around and in the middle of something in the pan, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot to chop this, go back and chop it. No, everything's finished, so all you need to do is cook. We used to say mise en place when we were in culinary school. Yeah, anyways. First, this is the largest head of red cabbage I've ever seen in my life, and we're only going to use about 1/6 of it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to attempt to even cut through this thing, because it's a beast. Okay. I'm going to take let's do this. So this has this really thick core in here. It's almost impossible to get the whole thing out without it completely staying together. And it's a little bit bitter, so you definitely want to get it out of there. So we'll do this, put that there, and take a little wedge off there, because obviously I'm the only one who gets to eat this, so I'm not going to make it for everybody. No offense. And I really like thinly shaven cabbage. I'm not one to buy prepackaged coleslaw because I just don't do that. And when it comes to using a mandolin, the best advice, everyone was even asking me today, like, oh, don't you use a guard or a glove? I'm like, no, dude, when you get scared, stop using the mandolin. So when it gets close, stop it. And I'll let you know when I'm scared, because it is scary. And these are the things that you cut yourselves on. It's not the knife, you'll start going slower and slower. Yeah, I feel uncomfortable. Cool. So that's good. So what we're going to do is just drop that in our bowl here, and we're going to make this sort of coleslaw first and make that quick vinaigrette, because the salmon's going to cook really quick, and I don't like well-done salmon. It's a sad fish when that happens. It's dry and not good. All right. I'm going to have enough to make enough coleslaw for a ton of people. There's a smoker over there. Maybe we can make some barbecue. I saw it. Who wants barbecue? I passed one on the way in, so I know there is one. And the same thing with this. When you get nervous, stop. Oh man, maybe I should take a bigger piece out. Whoops. Like I said, I've never made this recipe, so this is new to me as well. I hope it tastes good. But there are always easy ways to make things taste good with salt, seasonings, and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is, again, just like the red cabbage, we're going to shave it real nice and thin. And then we're going to get started on a couple other ingredients. We have some peppers. I don't need that much, guys, so I'm not going to sit here so you can watch me on a mandolin all day. Alrighty. So we've got some green bell peppers. I'm just destroyed it over here. Some green bell peppers, some red peppers. We're going to just julienne those up. So I want them nice and thin. I want them to match the kind of cabbage and consistency that I've set forth there. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this pith out of the center here. And we're going to julienne these, put them together and go quick. When doing this, whenever you're slicing anything, it's important to just practice holding your knife, chopping, slicing. It's incredibly important, because if you're not comfortable with your knife, your knife cuts are going to show it, and they're going to be all over the place. And to do that, hold the blade. Hold the blade of the knife. Pinch it with your thumb. Pinch it with your pointer finger. And you'll actually, after a while, you'll develop a callus right here. It'll be ugly, but that's just kind of a part of cooking in the kitchen. But it will protect your fingers, will protect your hand after a while. And it gives you more control when you hold the blade. It gives you a lot more control. So what we're doing here, same with the red pepper, we're gonna just remove the pith. And if you guys have any questions along the way, I know it's really loud because the crowd is so huge, so just shout over everybody, and I'll do my best to hear you and get back to you. So if you have any questions throughout the way, just holler. I'm pretty sure I'll hear you. So the next thing that I've got are just some Granny Smith apples. This is going to add some nice sweetness, a little bit of sour to the coleslaw, and really hopefully offset some of the spice that we have from the rub in the salmon. It's all about balance. It's a very important thing when it comes to cooking, especially for me, is the balance of food, the balance of flavors. Just so when you eat your fish and you eat your starch and you eat your veg, they all taste completely different, but when you put them together, you get this just explosion of flavor. And that is really what I love focusing on in my cooking. So the same thing with the bell peppers. We're just going to julienne up our Granny Smith apples, and hopefully I move fast enough that they don't turn too brown before I hit them with vinegar. But if you want, and you're doing this slowly, which is totally fine, the best way to hold apples is not lemon juice and water. It's actually pineapple juice. And they make the apples taste really good too. So if ever you're cutting apples and you're not going to use them for a little bit of time, hold them in pineapple juice. They'll actually hold completely perfectly overnight, and they won't brown at all. I mean, for 24 hours, which is great. In lemon water, sometimes you still get that. Okay, and now we have a jicama. Has anyone ever worked with a jicama before? No, it's Central South Mexico, Central South America and Mexico. It's kind of, it's got a nutty, slightly sweet flavor. It's like a savory apple, I guess, that would be the best example. But it's got a really thick peel on the outside, so it's important that you do peel it because it will not be good. My wife is not calling this year, someone else. Yeah. If you guys, for those who weren't here, my wife called last year while I was on doing the demo, and of course you're going to answer the phone when your wife is calling, because it could be important. All right. Just peeling this to get this tough skin off on the outside. I'm not going to use this whole thing. I'm trying to think of what else this would be compared to. I've heard it called the Mexican radish, too. Not that that's of any importance whatsoever. But it's got really cool flavors, and I used to work with jicama. One of the restaurants I worked with, we made a jicama coleslaw, but there was no cabbage. It's more focused on peppers, and it was good. Yeah. There's a great book out there, and where am I going with this? It's called Culinary Artistry, or the Flavor Bible, and I think I've told a lot of you guys about this because I love it. So if you want to work with jicama and you're like, gosh, what does this thing go well with? Just get this book, because this couple, this lady and this guy, took the time to find out like every food ever and then write a list of everything it goes well with. So it helps, it's a huge help. Even friends that I have in the restaurant industry are like, I still use that book when I have all this leftover stuff and I have no idea what to do with it. I know I need to make a special. So this, it's a great book to do, so to check out. And if you're interested in cooking with jicama, I mean, yeah, that's a great place to start. So, but just think, coleslaw is julienne. You want to do it thin, and we're going to do that same way. The whole point here is not have one thing overpower the other in the coleslaw. Instead, have a little bit of everything so all the flavors come together very nicely. So what we're going to do, just like the peppers, as I was saying, I'm just going to julienne those guys nice and thin. And the great thing about jicama, opposed to apples, you do not have to worry about it turning brown because you've got some time. Maybe after a day or two it will, but we're going to dress it with a little bit of vinaigrette, so we're not going to have to worry about that. Okay, almost done. Bear with me on the slicing. But if I wasn't doing this, then this demo would be like 5 minutes. So I have to do it. Okay. Peppers, jicama, coleslaw, got it all. All right, so we're gonna make a really simple vinaigrette. Had to do it. A little bit of apple cider vinegar. Okay. I guess that's a lot. Too little sugar. We're just going to whisk in some olive oil. I don't need that much because I'm just dressing this here. And I'm not going to dress it to the end. I want my salmon to be finished. I don't want anything to have that opportunity to be soggy. When you're making a vinaigrette, I mean, the standard ratio is 3-to-1, oil to vinegar, but I love vinegar. I think vinegar just enhances the heck out of anything. Vinegar and salt, great enhancers. So I'm more of a 2-to-1 or sometimes 1-to-1 when I'm making vinaigrette. Okay, let's cook some salmon. So I've got 2 huge pieces of skin-on salmon. I'm gonna hopefully it will work for me that we'll just sear it with the skin on, we'll flip it over, and we'll peel the skin right off, or you can use the skin on. The skin retains a lot of moisture into the fish, so it's actually good to keep it on. I don't like salmon skin per se. I do like trout and some of the other ones that are really good, but we'll peel it off and I'll show you how to do that. But first, what we're gonna do is rub this down a little bit. Remember this thing got really hot last year, right? Yeah. Yeah, that thing's crazy. All right, let's turn that down a little bit. Get it nice and hot first. My tongs. So I've got a little bit of chili powder, cumin, and oregano. This is a ridiculously simple rub, guys, but I didn't have obviously that much time to do this. But if you wanted to, you could do a mojo marinade or anything a little bit more extensive. And whenever you marinate anything, I mean, 24 hours. You got to do it overnight. And if you don't have that, I mean, at least 4 to 6. But you will absolutely be able to tell a difference between 4 to 6 hours and 24 hours. The flavor it's just not even close. So when you're doing a really simple rub like this, what I like to do is just kind of add my rub together, add in a little bit of olive oil, give it a little mix, and then just coat the fish just like this on both sides. Very easy way if you're looking for a rub instead of pouring it on, but you want to rub it in some spices. Super easy way to do this. All right. That's salmon. Tracy, I'm using raw fish. Is that okay? Okay, great. All right, cool. All right, all those yummy flavors on there. Oh, missed a spot. Someone cutting keys? Is that what it sounds like? Oh, knives. I'm like, what's going on here? And then what we're going to do is we're going to season it very well with kosher salt and cracked black pepper, or sea salt is a great, even before kosher salt, to be honest. And season very well. I mean, you see how thick this, well, I guess you can't see that way, but it's very, very thick. So you have to compensate with seasoning this, that the whole thing will be flavorful. So be generous here. A little bit. Oh, I've never used a pepper grater this big. This thing is legit. It's like a weapon. Golly. All right. Okay, so we're good to start searing. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. Hot pan, cold oil. And I love cast iron. Cast iron's a really just, I don't know, I've just been very comfortable using it the last few years. Stainless I love. I mean, honestly, I've really not much of a preference. But what we want to do is get this pan really hot, add in some cold oil here. And once, and I'm about medium to medium high heat. And this is just the basics for all sauteing. Once the pan or the oil in the pan begins to lightly smoke, that means it's just ample time, perfect time to begin smoking. It's perfect for that. Or to begin sauteing. So when it lightly smokes, start sauteing. I'm getting ahead of myself. Give me a dictionary. All right, so we're almost there. Let me just crank it up just a little bit more. Because if you don't do it this way, and you're always wondering why your food sticks, your pan's not hot enough. And also, don't be nervous about, is it burning? Is it burning? You know, adjust the heat. Don't worry about trying to flip it, because you're going to lose that caramelization. You're going to lose all that flavor that's on that fish. We're almost there. Almost there. If I say anything incorrect, chef, you just tell me. Okay. We have a awesome person over here who helped me all morning. Let's get it. I'm afraid this thing's so hot. All right, we're there. Cool. All right. So if I didn't have skin on it, I would flip this over and put it down. But I want to show you how easy it is to simply remove the skin on fish. So I'm going to put it skin side down. Okay. We're going to let this cook for a minute. And as soon as you do this, it is important to add in butter. You should always add butter to everything. My wife says it's the secret to life. So what we're going to do is add a few pads of butter in here. So really what this does is, in addition to adding flavor, it is fat. It actually helps brown the fish up too a little bit. So we're going to sit here for a minute. This might take a couple minutes. Hopefully it won't be too awkward. I'll try to keep rambling on about everything that's going on. So if you guys, if you get a chance, this is just some love for the guys at theinspiredhome.com. Go check out the Inspired Home magazine. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Somehow they let me in it. I'm in there for like 4 or 5 pages about making pasta. So it's a really cool magazine they worked super hard on. And the inspiredhome.com website in general, somehow they let me on that guy too. So yeah, check it out. It's really great. So turning the heat up a little bit more. Again, that's what I was saying earlier. Adjust the heat on here. Don't worry about trying to flip it and move it around. Whoa, it's popping. And even if this spice blend doesn't work for you, perhaps you don't like chili powder, perhaps you don't like cumin or oregano, you can absolutely change those things up. Maybe it's just salt and pepper. Do you have a question? I was like, yes, someone asked me something. You, what do you have? Say it. What is it? No. Yeah, I usually don't use extra virgin olive oil. I don't have a preference. I mean, obviously, if it comes from the motherland, I'm Italian, great. So I usually just don't cook with extra virgin olive oil because the smoking point gets too low. I like to have one around 375, 400. I think that's just perfect temperature for sauteing. And lately, I mean, I've been using a lot more safflower oils and grapeseed oil. It's a little bit healthier oil. And olive oil is good too. And I read some horrible article about coconut oil, how it's not as great as we all think it is for our bodies. I was really sad about that. So I want to like it, but I don't know if it's as good as I had hoped. But yeah, I'm comfortable with olive oil. I mean, honestly, that's usually my first choice. Unless I'm cooking with a dish that has a certain amount or a certain flavor to it, olive oil can sometimes take that completely over. So trying to think of an example. Gosh, I don't know that I have one right now. But olive oil can be an intense flavor, have an intense flavor profile. So yeah, sometimes don't do that. Yes, what? You raise your hand. No, I'm just kidding. So let's take a peek here. Getting nice and brown. This is an awesomely hot. You have a question? Oh, you're taking pictures. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. And don't worry about, we're not trying to brown up this first side with the skin side up. What we want to do is cook it enough to steam the inside of the fish to make it nice and tender, nice and juicy. So when we flip it over, we can just peel that skin right off and not lose any of that delicious meat. And this works the same way on the grill too. So if you guys really like to grill instead of sear or anything like this, it works really well too to do that. So let's take a peek here. Yeah, it's actually coming off already, so let's go ahead and, oh, lovely. I got a lot of salmon to eat. Lucky me. Okay? Yeah, see it's starting to peel off? That's cool though, that's good. So, once it's cooked and nice and brown, lost a little bit, but I mean, it comes right off, which is great. And my family hates fish skin. And I imagine maybe some in the audience do too. So once you cook that part, you just flip it right over and it peels right off. And then this part is the fun part, which I like to do. It's a little therapeutic for me. I just like to baste the top and get a lot of those delicious flavors back into the meat of the fish because the skin was protecting it. Dang, this burner is hot. All right. That's good. All right. Get a large spoon, much larger than the one I'm holding, because it's hot. And again, just baste. That will help brown this part of the fish that you did not get brown because the skin was there. But again, the skin is important to help keep the moisture in, and it's got a little bit of natural salts in there too, and adds a lot of good flavor. I just particularly don't like salmon skin. but I like trout skin. Tracy's probably a huge fish skin fan. Huge fish skin fan. And extra rare beef. All right, cool, thank you. Great. Yeah, large spoon. And again, I don't want to overcook this fish. An overcooked fish is a very sad fish. It's not good, it's dry. And you always have to account for carryover cooking. So by that, I mean, when I take this out of this pan, it doesn't magically stop cooking, okay? It's going to cook a little bit. And in barbecue, it's funny, when you pull something out of your smoker, it will actually climb up several degrees, and so you have to even account for that in something like this. Smoking is because you're cooking for long temperatures, and it sort of spikes when you take it out. This is cooked very quickly, but in the same sense, it will continue to keep cooking. I'm terrified of how hot this is. This is awesome. It's like awesomely hot and dangerously hot. All right, so what we're gonna do is just add this in there. Yes, lovely. Yeah, and when you're using chili powder, don't worry, things are not burnt. That's the chili powder on there, okay? And the cumin too. And I'm not just saying that, like this looks good, right? It doesn't look burnt. Yeah, can you see it up there? Good, okay, cool. All right, so now we're gonna start to plate some things up. So I'm gonna put that to the side. I've got some corn tortillas. It's the only way to do this type of food, okay? Keep your flour tortillas away from me. Corn tortillas. We're gonna make, do you have a pair of tongs I could borrow? That'd be great, thank you. No, she got it, you're good. So when it comes to dressing anything, whether that be coleslaw or a salad, you actually wanna dress the outside of the bowl because nothing is worse or more depressing than a very soggy salad. But first I'm going to season it up with salt and pepper. Give this a couple of quick whisks here. I'm just gonna dress, thank you, just prop them down wherever, that's great, thank you. Dress the outside of the bowl, okay? And we're just gonna do a little bit first. This is sort of that season once, taste twice sort of thing. Taste it, season it, taste it again, make sure it's still good, okay? So we'll put a little bit in there, make sure it's beautifully coated. And then if we need to add more, we need to add more. But when you dress the outside of the bowl, all the dressing falls to the bottom and stays at the outside. So when you're mixing the coleslaw around, you're completely coating it and everything. And you can kind of see that it starts to get real wet and delicious. So we're in a good place here. And it's never the point to like overdress things too, because I feel like our palates get in this like, I don't know, they get this like sensation where like, I need more ranch or vinaigrette because you want to just taste that. But if it's lightly dressed and things are lightly sauced, it's so delicious that it makes you want to keep eating it more and more and more of it, as opposed to dumping sauce all over it, you know? Okay, so we're good. We're good with that. Yummy, delicious. Now I'm gonna go back over here to our beautiful fish. What we're gonna do here is just sort of break it up a little bit. I hope you can see this. We're just gonna put little chunks on there. Yeah, this is perfect. So I'm much more of the medium in the fish, maybe the inside could have been cooked maybe a little bit more. But we'll go to the outside, so it's fine. I don't want you guys to sit here and watch me saute fish all day. It wouldn't be very fun. Yeah, but you can see it's incredibly juicy. It's really, really moist. It smells really good too. And even at this point, if you didn't season it enough, you can even add a little salt and pepper at this stage too. Yeah, I know it seems weird that salmon can be medium and all that kind of stuff these days, but honestly, that's the best way to eat salmon. And every restaurant I've ever worked at, we used to take temperatures on salmon, so it's not anything out of the ordinary. Set this to the side. We're just gonna add on our simple coleslaw, and this is much more of a coleslaw for the winter months, okay? This would absolutely change with summer. I'm using, cabbages, and I'm using apples too for that sweetness, so that could absolutely change. I'm not saying throw some blueberries on it in the summertime, but the vegetable profile could absolutely change. So what we're gonna do is just hit it with some pretty coleslaw, and purple cabbage just makes everything just gorgeous. All right. Okay, and then we'll finish it off with a couple little things here. I've got some fresh cilantro leaves that we can put on here, and it's totally okay to use the stems of cilantro. There's a ton of flavor, a lot of delicious lemon lime flavor in that cilantro stem. So don't feel like when you ever chop cilantro that you have to take the leaves off and cut it, use the stem. It's really, really good. A lot of wonderful flavors in there. And then normally maybe I would have used onion in the coleslaw, but I knew I had some sliced green onions, so that'll sort of provide us our onion flavor. And yeah, we'll go from there. And I'm just like thinking about this and thinking about the Inspired Home guys. I do a lot of food styling and stuff for them, and it's funny, like back in the day, like 10 or 15 years, like food stylists, it was just like, oh, that looks nice. And then someone would come in and they'd be like, now it's good. And nowadays it's just like, great, it's done, it's beautiful, take a picture, hurry. So got a little bit of queso fresco here just for some creaminess and some cheese. You could use cotija, even manchego cheese is a really nice salty cheese, and man, that's it. So, wow, that was fast. This is the whole demo. Thank you for hanging out, guys. And be sure to check out theinspiredhome.com. Got a lot of great recipe videos on there. The magazine is phenomenal. If you want to see more about what I do for some reason, check out billyparisi.com and Chef Billy Parisi are all my social channels. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for asking questions. And I'll be up here, so if you have anything else you want to ask or chat about, I'll be right here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Chef Billy Parisi, everyone. He did all his social content again, Chef Billy Parisi on Facebook and Instagram. Fabulous recipes on there, Chef. I pretty much wake up every day, look at Facebook, and I see a fabulous steak you're making. And again, billyparisi.com, theinspiredhome.com, and bpmvc.com for Chef Billy Parisi. Stick around. We're still cooking here at the KitchenAid Cooking Theater. Manuela Jailand going to be up here in just a few moments.